The following is the result of fine-tuning F5 TTS model with Ciri's voice. The total run duration on the H100 was 10 hours. The rental price for an Ubuntu box with this card was $1.34 per hour. This is by far the best rendition of a cloned voice I have achieved with Fight TTS, thanks primarily to the exceptional quality of the voice acting. Kudos to Joe Wyatt. When a humble bard graced a ride along, with Gerald of Rivia along came this song. From when the white wolf fought, a silver-tongued divil, his army of elves at his hooves did they revel. They came after me with masterful deceit, broke down my lute and they kicked in my teeth, while the devil's horns mince our tender meat. And so cried the witcher, he can't be bleat. Later, it was said the man came from the north, from Ropper's Gate. He came on foot, leading his laden horse by the bridle. It was late afternoon and the ropers' saddlers and tanners' stalls were already closed, the street empty. It was hot but the man had a black coat thrown over his shoulders. He drew attention to himself. He stopped in front of the old Narrates Inn, stood there for a moment, listened to the hubbub of voices. As usual, at this hour, it was full of people. The stranger did not enter the old Narrates. He pulled his horse further down the street to another tavern, a smaller one, called the Fox. Not enjoying the best of reputations, it was almost empty. The innkeeper raised his head above a barrel of pickled cucumbers and measured the man with his gaze. The outsider, still in his coat, stood stiffly in front of the counter, motionless and silent.
What will it be?
Beer,
said the stranger. His voice was unpleasant. The innkeeper wiped his hands on his canvas apron and filled a chipped earthenware tankard. The stranger was not old, but his hair was almost entirely white. Beneath his coat he wore a worn leather jerkin, laced up at the neck and shoulders. As he took off his coat, those around him noticed that he carried a sword, not something unusual in itself. Nearly every man in Wyzim carried a weapon, but no one carried a sword strapped to his back, as if it were a bow or a quiver. The stranger did not sit at the table with the few other guests. He remained standing at the counter, piercing the innkeeper with his gaze. He drew from the tankard.
I'm looking for a room for the night.
There's none,
grunted the innkeeper, looking at the guest's boots, dusty and dirty.
asked at the old Narrates.
I would rather stay here.
There is none.
The innkeeper finally recognized the stranger's accent. He was Rivian.
I'll pay.
The outsider spoke quietly, as if unsure, and the whole nasty affair began. A pockmarked beanpole of a man who, from the moment the outsider had entered, had not taken his gloomy eyes from him, got up and approached the counter. Two of his companions rose behind him, no more than 2 paces away.
There's no room to be had, you Rivian vagabond,
rasped the pockmarked man, standing right next to the outsider. The outsider took his tankard and moved away. He glanced at the innkeeper, who avoided his eyes. It did not even occur to him to defend the Rivian. After all, who liked Rivians?
Bugger, were I the Pope, I'd have that blasted technology excommunicated forthwith.